For office, no. This is not legislation, right? These are jokes by someone who doesn't read. Okay, just everybody relax. Yeah, people put so much on. I know. Now I'm excited to be here. I am. It's very exciting to be doing stand-up outside of my own country. Yeah. No, not because of you. That's how it's become us. Everything's so goddamn every joke you tell it. But what did you mean about that? I didn't go to the gym today. Are you calling me fat? I feel triggered. Gotta fucking apologize to everybody. This is how screwed up my country is right now. To you. You know that shit. You know Bryan Cranston, right? That dude did a movie. He played a quadriplegic. And people gave him, be like, why is there an able-bodied person playing a quadriplegic? It's like, it's because it's called acting, you dumb. See, if he was a quadriplegic playing a quadriplegic, that's not acting. That's just laying there saying that someone else wrote where you're still doing a lot of acting too, right? She shot a big movie. Yeah. I shot a Pete Davidson's big movie. Oh, how did that go? Well, I didn't get fired. Yeah. Who knows? Get cut out. You never know. It went great slide. And it was the first time I got to work with Judd Apatow where I've worked with him in a more like distant way, like I did Pete's show, Crashing, because I think that comes out June of next year. But I got to do an episode of The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau, the new Star Wars thing.
Oh, I gotta see that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. What? This is a sports fan meathead who doesn't watch any sci-fi. You're gonna be in Star Wars, just say, I was like, are you?
Are you with Star Wars? No. You know what this is like? This is like when Joe DeRosa met Joe Torre. He goes, yeah, I met this guy the other night. He was somehow connected with the Yankees because he was still managing. It was Joe tutelage. I'm like, Torre. He goes, yeah. Is he like a big, he makes that face guy? I was like, dude, I'm going to strangle you. I know, right? I'm going to strangle you. Why? He's like, I want to go buy vintage T-shirts. Yeah, so he already went off on me for being in Star Wars. And I told him, I go, this is your payback for meeting Joe Torre. Fair enough, fair enough. What did you do to you? What you wearing? What? Star Wars? I don't know that they are. Like, that's very secretive. This is like how much money's in the Federal Reserve. I don't think I'm allowed to say anything. Yeah, all that Netflix, say anything. Yeah, all that Netflix. I love it. Netflix. If you look at the trailer, you see the back of my bald head for half a second. Oh my God, so you're not in a helmet. I love it. My head is a helmet. It would have been redundant. That's like a joke, a hat on a hat. Oh my God, that's exciting. You're a busy guy, Bill. Yes, I am. What about F is for family? F is for family. We're finishing up season 4. Holy, editing that. And that should be out sometime next year. But for you, stand-up will always be #1. Yeah. Well, you're very generous with comics. I was talking to Tom about how when I was early on the Comedy Store, you were so good to me. And we'll watch sets. Oh my God, when you did that, punchlines and stuff. And it was so cool when you did that bit. She's my best friend. I was just like, I don't think you understand how funny you are. And she just kept booking TV shows and was annoying. It's just like, stop fucking. They're giving you chicken feed. You're a star. Get out there on the towel. You wait till her hour comes out. Yeah. Forgetting all about mine. I'm telling you, there's nobody has a vibe. Like, you're hilarious. And you got this chill, cool vibe that I loved. And then you. And you also know how to unleash. Like some comics, when they get loud, then they just stay there too long. Yeah. And then it gets annoying. But like, you know how to, like, if you know how to use it, you can just, throw them back in the seat and then bring them back down again, It's awesome. I love it. You've always been so good to me, and it really, I was always much appreciated. There we go. We sound like one of us is on our deathbed. I know. Yeah. I was going to say so nice to me. What is this announcement you're going to make? Keep my name alive, Fortune. I brought him up at the store a couple weeks ago, and I was like, this is one of the nicest because you're so nice to me. And I mean, you're nice to everybody, but I love you so much. And like, he's one of the nicest guys there is. And you come out, you're like, do you really have to say that? I'm about to go rant about a bunch of shit. I'm the nicest guy. The nicest guys ever talk about people in wheelchairs, but it means a lot. It does. When you're a newer comic, you're coming up, it's intimidating. Well, that's because people did that for me, and I didn't forget it. Then I remember what it meant to me. I had one. Dave Chappelle said something to me in the early 2000s. I held on to that, yeah. In comedy condos and hell rooms for like the next 5 years. Dave said I was funny, right? Dave thinks I'm funny. Hear that for me. Honestly, I'm not saying that because you're on your deathbed, but you are. Comedy deathbed. When I'm on the road and I'm in a green room that's, basically a broom closet, I'm like, Bill said I was funny. And it does carry you through those weekends sometimes. Well, you're so lost in the beginning, you really don't know whether you have no confirmation of whether you are. And there's no, roadmap. So you're like, is this going to lead to anything? Am I doing this even remotely, right? And you don't have blinders on, like I'm just going to do what I find my own journey. No, you just totally, You almost see like, but it's yeah. What is that guy doing? I need to be doing what he's doing. She's like mapping out his shirt and everything, yeah. What agent he's with, and you're just ping-ponging. Yeah, Joe, yeah. Joe Coy came in here and was like, my street team. Tom and I were like, we need a street team. Why don't we have a street team? You're like, what are we doing wrong? Well, what keeps you going was what I started to learn was just like, well, I started before cell phones. You get in, you just drive back in the next comedy stop in Boston, and then you would find the nearest comic and tell them the story you got. And then, of course, try to top your story about, like, that's nothing, though. One time I had this happen, it just made you feel like, all right, well, I got a story to tell. And then it also made me feel like a comedian. I heard the older guys, telling the stories, and I was just like, I don't have any stories. I went to an open mic, and it didn't go well. Because it was my fault. There was no any, other elements involved. So then once I started doing, rooms outside, and, there's nothing better than hearing about your friends who suffered. Bill Burr's Special Paper Tiger is streaming on Netflix now. Go and watch it. He also has some big tour dates coming up. Go to BillBurr.com. Look at all his dates. He's going all over Cosmopolitan in Vegas. And, of course, listen to his Monday morning podcast, one of the best podcasts out there. Bill Burr, ladies and gentlemen. Women go to restaurants and lose their goddamn mind. They got to order from that expensive side of the menu, the side with the steak and the lobster. And the Dom Perignon guys like to give him that little warning, too, huh? Ooh. Honey, you understand that's the fucking side of the menu? You understand that? It's steak, lobster, and dick. It is a combination. If a nigga really wanted to rape me, what can I really do? Be honest, like if you get past my scuffle, that's it. I gotta take one for the team. That's all I got. If you get past my scuffle, hey, get the fuck off, nigga. Nigga. Ladies, you gotta start taking some responsibility for your own miserable life. If you're over 25 years old, you're still walking around here talking about niggas ain't shit. Bitch, you need to grow the fuck up with your irresponsible ass. What you meant to say was all the niggas you fuck with ain't shit. That's right. You need to figure out what it is about your pussy that keep attracting ain't shit niggas. Might be ain't shit pussy. Imagine if Michael Jackson was from the project. What if Michael Jackson was a pimp? Should be him and Tito be riding around in the Cadillac and shit. Slow down, Tito. Slow down, Tito. Damn! Is that my hobo that's sitting on the couch? Her! Let me out. Come here, girl. I said, come here, girl, with my money. How much you got, Micah? I'm sorry. All I got is a $100 bill. Girl, you've been out here all day. And all you got is the $100 bill. Keep it in the closet. I think Michael's on crack. I bet you Michael's at home. Mike is like, only white folks are shocked when they saw that tape. Police whooping black folks in the black community ain't no new shit. When I saw that, I thought it was a fucking new Timex commercial. I didn't know what the fuck it was. But that's all right, because the brother getting paid, he getting $1 million for every blow. 50 done is $6 million. I'm looking to get fucked up. I'm doing 300 miles an hour in a Volkswagen, yelling out the window, fuck the police, fuck all your bad trade motherfuckers, come over here, whoop my ass, give me my case. The issue was not whether Lorena Bobbitt did what her husband claims she did. The facts about the act were evident. She cut his dick off, drove down the highway, and threw it out the window. Car 11, I want you to proceed down on the freeway. See if you can't locate a dick. She obviously got 20/20 vision. She found a little thing. It was very difficult to find. San Angeles Police Department is actively searching for Mr. Simpson. You know who the real victim is? Ike Turner. Because Ike was the king of the Wolver beater. So OJ took his title. Don't nobody give a fuck about OJ and all that old punk-ass shit. Niggas just want to know when is the next riot. Fuck that. Will the jury find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder? I want Johnny Cochran in my corner. He was like a magician. If it don't fit, you must have quit. Every prison is filled with niggas, just overcrowded with niggas. One motherfucker gets away. Hey, we got to take a look at the justice system. It's not working. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I went to the doctor and I was like, all right, I'm just going to get a checkup, see what's going on. The honest truth is I knew it wasn't going to be awesome. Okay? I knew the doctor wasn't going to be like, he might be surprised to hear this, but you're perfect. Like you're a perfect physical specimen, man. I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I didn't expect him to be a dick. Usually they're not. I feel like in my experience, doctors are polite, almost overly polite, where it's phony and condescending. When they go, oh, really? Interesting story you got there. Doctors do that because you're telling them a story, and doctors don't want to hear a story. Doctors want to hear this hurts not. I was over at my friend Charlie's house, and we went to move the ottoman. And I mean, you can use it as a coffee table, or you could use it as an ottoman. It's to you. And your doctor's like, I want to blow my fucking brains out right now. I go in there, I sit on the exam table, which is my least favorite table to sit on in the world. It's the only table that in 30 years I've sat on where my feet don't touch the ground. So I feel like a fucking toddler waiting. Like my doctor comes in, he doesn't say hello. He doesn't say good morning. He just walks in. He points at me, which is super aggressive, you know, to start a conversation with somebody like, hey, man. You're like, hey, what's man? And he goes, do you want something for your hair? And I go, what? And he goes, do you want something for your hair? And I go, what? And he goes, oh, sorry. All right. Then he pulls my chart out of the slot, super dramatic, so that it makes a fucking noise. He goes, wow. And I'm like, really? Wow, is it full-blown AIDS? Like, why is wow? Is he wow? It was, you weigh 20, 45. And I go like, yeah, like I knew that shit. And he goes, you weighed 230 last time you were here. Not exactly what I would call weight loss. I'm like, oh, we had a fucking roast or something. Like, what are you doing? And he says, you know, you're the fattest patient I've seen all day. And I go, it's 9:30 in the morning. He goes, still. He's like, you know, we ran your blood work. It turns out your muscle enzymes are through the roof. And I go, yeah, man. I'm like, I'm super strong. Like, how is that a problem? And he goes, they're off the charts. I'm like, even better. I'm probably your strongest patient, man. And he goes, I don't think you understand muscle enzymes. And I go, that's true. I don't know what they are. He goes, well, the only way you could have them this high would be like if you were an Olympic athlete, which clearly, you know, I'm like, dude, what is the deal, man? Then he goes, the other way would be if you were a cocaine addict. And I go, I don't do coke. And he goes, I'm your doctor. You don't have to lie to me. I go, I'm not lying. And he goes, I can't treat you if you're not going to be honest. And I go, hey, man, aren't cokeheads skinny? Isn't that like part of the deal? And he goes, usually, yeah. The nurse comes in, she takes my chart out of his hands, and she goes, oh my God, his muscle enzymes are so high. Then maybe he runs marathons. And my doctor goes, look at him. So at this point, I go, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me today. I'm going to leave now. And he goes, all right. And he goes, hold on a second. Do you have a ring on your finger? And I go, yeah. And he goes, you're married? And I go, yeah. And he goes, to a guy? And he goes, oh, I thought you were gay. And I go, why? And he goes, oh. I'm like, all right, dude. And he goes, hey, I'm just kidding. And I go, that's fine. He goes, but check it out. And he takes my chart and he shows it to me, and he had written gay question mark on my medical chart. The thing that gets sent to other doctors has this inside, maybe he sucks cock joke written on it. I went home. I told my wife. She's like, oh my God, what are you going to do? And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, I mean, are you ever going to go back there? I'm like, are you out of your mind? That's the funniest fucking doctor in the world? I have, like, Don Rickles as my primary care physician. It's amazing. I've been introduced to go back to this guy, you know, you're a piece of, like, I know. I have an idea of what I want to talk about basically in my phone. And what I'll do is I go on and I talk about the stuff. I try my best to avoid long conversations. This is my kind of stuff. I will avoid going to certain locations. I know a long talker is in that venue. Is Pete there? I can't, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go like, you know, you're talking to a long talker, or at least when they say, let me talk to you real quick. No one says, let me talk to you real slow. For some reason, long talkers, they always need to rest something, whether it's their hands and their knees. As soon as I say long story short, you're in trouble. Me and Eddie Murphy talked. I'm like, Eddie, you're a large reason why I'm doing stand-up comedy. That's never a white guy. But be that as it may, what if I said Dice was the reason I started? Because of Dice, what if I'm talking to him and I'm like, why don't you want to do it? Because we're talking and Eddie's still funny, we want to see it. We want to see you, man, I want to see. And what he said was, it's like cold water, because what I left from is very hard to beat. The expectations are so high, and that's what makes the water cold. When you see a great comedian with a bunch of great stuff, you're going, wow, I can't believe this guy crosses that far on his belly. Because, you know, that's the only way he got there. I've had my lumps in the beginning. I've had lumps, Jerry, age 22, 24. I got a deal for $25,000. I just made it. I'm rich. This is a real conversation I had with my brother. All right, first things first, I'm going to get you and Mom a house. I'm going to go ahead and get Dad squared that away. So there's 3 houses. Let's knock that out, cars. Who want what? Go head out to Lowell, probably find me something. But just know we all said instantly, money's all gone. I'm on the phone with my business manager at the time. All right, Kevin, well, we owe the IRS. I then had the tax talk. We got to cut some bills, Dad. We're going to have to sell that house. Can't do that, son. My dad had 9 people living in the house. But as comedians, not a lot of us get a lot of chances. And I was in that grinding mode for 13 years. Oh, really? Oh, I was. I mean, Jerry, I've been doing comedy since I was 18. I'm 35. My last 4 to 5 years have been an upswing. You ever see that musical Little Shop of Horrors? Yeah. You would think that's what TV is. One of us is going to get eaten here. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? You're going to be there. You're going to eat me or I'm going to eat you. And I was at that point with the show, and I thought, I can't believe I beat that box put. If I stay, it's going to go bad. It's going to go bad, and it will eat me. By the way, this is probably in the top 2 best conversations I've ever had in my life. The first one would be my dad explained to me why he had to do drugs. Really? Hearing a man, I had to listen. Everybody did it. You think I was by myself, your aunt, your uncle, that the best conversation I've ever had. Escape rooms normally happen in like a mall. This was in a dude's house. He had converted every room in his house into an escape room, much like John Wayne Gacy. We pull into the neighborhood. My dad's like, no fucking way. George is like, Pop, I heard it's really scary. Because I'm shitting my pants right now, ladies. We see a house painted all black. No landscaping. Liam's like, I think that's it. My dad's like, keep fucking going. Get out. Go up to the door. Knock on the door. Dude's already in character. Oh, dude, it's laced a lot. This guy's good. Silk robe, towel around his head, stroking a kitty cat. And he just goes, have you seen my mother? My dad grabs my hand. He goes, what the fuck did he just say? He's looking for his mother. And he goes, tell him his mother can suck my dick. My dad's like, is this real? Is this real? I go, it's part of the escape room, Dad. Just play along. He goes, would you guys like to see a tour of my house? And my mom's in it. Yes, we would love to see a tour of your house. What's your mother's name? How old is she?
Where did you go to college?
Take these down, Ayla. These are notes. So we go on a tour of the house. The women are into it. And my dad is picking this guy apart left and right. He's like, he smells like shit, buddy. I think he fucking lives here. I think he lives. What kind of fucking lunatic lives where every room isn't? He was just eating lunch, buddy. He's eating mac and cheese with coffee. Who the fuck drinks coffee? Black coffee with mac and cheese. He's got IBIS. I'm like, I don't think these are helpful clues, Dad. The guy comes in, he goes, would you guys like to see Mother's room? Dad goes, absolutely fucking not, son. My mom's like, yes, we want to see your mother's room. He's like, well, Mother doesn't allow car keys, cell phones, or wallets in a room, so you'll need to empty your pockets and put them on the kitchen table. And like sheep, we're like, okay. We empty our pockets, walk into the room, and the second I step into the room, I feel the door shut and lock behind me, and I have a panic attack. The first thing I think is he didn't ask our names. We didn't give him a credit card. We didn't fill out a waiver. We didn't even really check the address. We just saw one sketchy house in the neighborhood, knocked on the door. He presented a problem, or like the Scooby-Doo gang will figure it out. And now we're locked in his fucking house. Dad's next to me going, tell me where I steer wrong in this story. Did you just walk your family into a serial killer's house? George goes, Papa, isn't this scary? He goes, you have no fucking idea. You two are getting sold to the goddamn Albanians tonight. You'll be working in a Chechen whorehouse the rest of your lives. I just like, Papa, how do you think we get out of here? He goes, oh, I think I'm going to have to suck that guy's dick, Sam. I can't tell you where to go. I can tell you where not to go, wherever they film the first 48 on A&E. If you're not familiar with the show, here's what it is. Camera crews follow real homicide detectives for the first 48 hours after a murder. And the reason that time distinction is so important is that after 48 hours, they give up on that murder. They're like, that's some old shit. What do you want to do today? You're like, how about you keep trying to solve that murder, man? That shit happened on Monday, it's Wednesday. We're not going to solve that shit. Really? There are so many amazing moments on that show. So many. A lot of the episodes take a similar path. I'm blown away, first of all, at how many times there's a witness to a murder. It's crazy. I always thought murders happen in dark alleys. Nobody saw shit. No, every other episode, like, you see that shit? And I was like, I saw that shit. Yeah. Or, right fucking here. Really? I was standing here. And then he killed that dude there. What did he look like? He was like 5'2" to 6'8", something like that. And they're like, that's the fucking description you're going to give us, huh? Anything else about him? Yeah, he had ears, too. Thanks, man. No problem. I still will sketch that shit out, I don't know. And they show it to people. Then this guy, and everyone's like, nah. But then one guy will be like, yeah, that's Cricket right there. You're like, oh, shit. You know him? I've been known Cricket 27 years. What's his real name, man? That's just Cricket, and I don't even know. Stop being white and weird. That's a perfect fucking impression. And you know exactly who that was. Okay, yeah, it's a black guy, and he's wearing a wife beater, and he's got on a dirty hat, and he's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he looks like he's about 33, but you find out he's 76 years old, and he speaks super aggressively to the cops. I've been out here for a minute. They're like, all right, Jesus Christ. When was the last time you saw him through with jellyfish? Last week. They were looking for some smoke, and they're like, all right, Jesus Christ. And you always cut to the whitest detective from that guy, too. They cut from that guy to the guy who's like, I don't think he's going to help us out. We're going to have to find Cricket on our own. That show has the best moment in television. It's the most dramatic thing you could ever see because it's real life, and that is the interrogation. The interrogation is amazing because here's the thing about drama. You want to have a great dramatic moment, raise the stakes. Guess what? There's no higher stakes than somebody being questioned about taking somebody else's life. It's inherently compelling television. It's also super serious, but the detectives insist on using the suspect's street name. So the whole thing turns into a fucking cartoon. Like, they're literally like, your life is on the line. We need to talk to you. Why don't you have a seat, little stink? Why don't you sit down for a second? Did you or did you not know Dookie shoes? I don't know, no Dookie shoes. I got a picture of you hanging out with Dookie shoes. I mean, I've seen them, I don't know. And then they'll throw one bit of evidence against the wall, hoping it'll solve the case. They'll be like, well, we were talking to them, and he said that you were at the 7-Eleven last week, and he'd be like, yeah, I shot him in the face. And you're like, God damn, really? That's all it took to break you, dude. Lie for longer. You can kill somebody, you can't lie for 10 fucking minutes about it. The dudes will break on anything. They'll be like, we heard you had on a blue shirt last Friday. Yeah, I stabbed those 4 people, dude, and a lot of people have blue shirts, man. You can still get out of this. Here's what I've learned watching that show. Okay, lawyer, you can't handle that shit. Everybody's like, I'm going to talk to the cops and straighten this whole thing out. You're going to do 25 to life. Have fun with that, man. Nobody asked for a lawyer insurance. I've seen 300 people get interrogated on this show. 2 of them were like, I talked to a lawyer, and both times the detectives were like, fuck. And then at the end of those episodes, they said on the screen, all charges against, say, Sean were dropped. Or Jim, pick a fucking name, let's be honest. There's no show. Jim's on the show. I've seen every episode, and none start with, hey, Bryce, can we talk to you for a second, man? Where were you last Friday? I was over at Tanner's house. Then Skylar had a party, so we went over there, and then we picked up Connor, and we had pancakes. Sorry, bro. Good detective, bro. And I get why you laugh at my physical flaws. Physical flaws are funny. They just are. Disabilities are not, but some are, most aren't. We know those ones. You know, like if there's a 10K or a quilt, it's pretty bad, but the rest of the is up for debate. And if you're sitting here and you're like, well, when is it ever F-A. Funny? Well, luckily for you, I have 3 examples. First, foreign accent syndrome. Some of you know about it, some of you don't. It's real. You can look it up on your way out of here. Some people experience head trauma. Not funny. But they wake up speaking their native language with a foreign accent. Very funny. I defy you to watch interviews with these people and not piss yourself laughing. They're like a farmer in Alabama who's normally like, that guy hits his head and is now like, yeah, the trap to trailer. It fell. That's not funny to you. You piece of shit. Really? The best case ever of foreign accent syndrome happened in the UK. Not only was it a British woman who lived her entire life in the UK, she never left the town she was born in for 33 years. She was in an accident and she woke up speaking English, but with a Chinese foreign accent. Did you hear what I just fucking said? Do you now believe in God and his awesome sense of humor? A British lady who her whole life was like, hello, it's a bit of a whiffle, isn't it? Like that now says, I have not had my conversation over 2 years now. First of all, do you know how hard it is to do that impression without squinting? Secondly, if you're getting uncomfortable, like, whoa, he's mocking an Asian accent. No, she's white. This is fine. A white British lady just happens to say, would you like a cup of tea? Tastes good. Do you want milk? You want biscuit? Oh, good. You want me to suck the dick now? I don't know, whatever. She's a nice British lady. She can say whatever she wants. Now, if you're sitting in your seat right now and you're like, I don't think it's funny, well, don't get your tits in a tussle. I got 2 more for you. So what about persistent genital arousal disorder? That is a fancy way of saying never not coming. These are people that have orgasms every 90 seconds and they can't have jobs. Why can't they have jobs, Tom? Because they're coming all the time. It's not appropriate for you to be like, can I try on this shirt? And the guy's like, fuck your shirt. I need to wear my own shit. Or, oh, just bring water, that's too much sugar. I don't want any more. Some people suffer from both of those afflictions. You know that. It's rare, but it happens. You imagine that. That, like, you just walk up to someone, you're like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about your dad passing away. And he's like, that feels good. I made that one up. That's not true. But that was cheap. But that was fun. Now, if you're still not on board with this, how about an old reliable one? You know, how about Tourette's syndrome? Yeah, maybe you've heard of that. If you haven't, let me tell you. When I was in 5th grade, my parents sent me to a new school on a Wednesday. I'll never forget. It was a Catholic school, and on Wednesdays, they had mass. So picture you're a new student at a new school. You don't know anybody, and the first thing you're doing is you're going to church. So I walk in, and the priest starts the service. He goes, name of the Father and the Son. And the kid in the row in front of me goes, fuck your cunt. Oh, nobody did anything. No one batted an eye. He just goes, Holy Spirit. Starts reading from the Bible. This kid goes, lick my balls, fuck you. I am laughing so goddamn hard, but I know I'm not supposed to laugh. It sounds like I'm having a stroke. I'm 10. I'm like, I have tears running down my face. And finally, I'm able to get out, hiccup. Nobody else is laughing. And the kid next to me goes, he's got Tourette's, it gets old. 3 years I was at that school. That shit never got old. That was the greatest gift God ever bestowed upon me. And I'll tell you this, the greatest day of my life, up until the day my son was born, was the day we had a substitute teacher that year, and they didn't warn her about him. Your imagination is serving you correctly. It was glorious. I watched a 10-year-old boy break a grown woman's spirits. These poor substitutes, they don't know what's going on in your class. You know, she walked in, somehow they didn't tell her, and she's like, read chapter 3, and then his tics would build, meaning they would start small. So he would sit in class and be like, she goes, what's going on? And we're like, she doesn't know. And then he would do this every day. He would take markers and paint his own shirt. Again, every day he did it, but she doesn't know about it, so she sees it. She's like, what are you doing? He goes, what do you think, bitch? Then he starts painting his face with the marker, and she goes, stop that. And he goes, you bitch, fuck you. And she's like, what's happening? What's happening? And we go, that's Kevin. Why are you crying so much right now? Like that when she killed herself, she's dead. She's out of teaching, but she's fine. So any theaters whatsoever, yeah, for financial reasons. You want to set up the clip? Yes. So being a rescue ranger is no walk in the park all the time. And in this scene, Chip and Dale are cornered in a room, and there's bad guys on the run, and there's only one way to get out. Let's take a look. Hey, that's my personal bathroom. Look for a way out of here. No, come on. There's only one way, Chip. No, that's disgusting. Jimmy, I got him. It's her only chance. Live a little, live a little. You seem excited about this, dum-dum. Aw, come on, Chip. The water's fine. Oh, dang it. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. No, I'm done. Yeah, well, that certainly gives new meaning to the term royal flush. You are correct, sir. All right. For real? Now, speaking of Chip and Dale, we have something very exciting. Speaking of Chip and Dale, it's all we're doing now. Very exciting. As you all may know, the premiere for Chip and Dale is happening tonight. Yeah, next door to where we are right now. And as a very special treat, Disney and the Jimmy Kimmel Show would like to invite all of you. So call the babysitter and pay them more, okay? John, I want to thank you for being here. And in case we haven't mentioned it, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is on Disney+, not in theaters, starting Friday. We will be right back with Cheryl Hines. Listen to books on tape or anything like that? No, I can't do that. You can't listen to books on tape. I've never tried. I just can't. What would annoy me? Listening to the person trying to make it sound interesting. You know, with the inflections and the voice and stuff. That would annoy you? Yeah, because I'm defensive. Like, this guy thinks I'm a fucking moron, but it's just like, and then in 1862, read it like a bailiff. Read it like a bailiff, dude. I remember. You know, I have that reference, and the bailiff read the thing. He said the arresting officer asked the defendant where he was coming from, and he stated, fucking Boston. And it was just like, that's what I said. That's not the way I said it. I was fucking wasted, he said. I was trying to remember. He said, where'd you come from? I was like, fuck it, Boston. Guy goes, fucking Boston. You want to get out of the car? And I was like, yeah, I wasn't a jerk. Funny. I was standing there. There's all like these people who mug people, and they were like laughing like, oh, this guy's sticking it to the man, you know? So we pulled the defendant over. After repeatedly asking the defendant to stay in the car, he got out of the car, threw his keys at my feet, and repeatedly stated, lock me up, I'm fucked up. And this was funny. Do you remember the guy who was fucking... He would do a shot when anybody would puke. He would stand over in the corner and not face them. He was facing the corner. So we started calling him Blair Witch. Everybody got there. So I'm crying, laughing, and then gagging as I'm telling the story. She's like, where do they find these people? And then that just set me over the top. I was like, I don't know, just crying, laughing. But God bless him. The reason why that thing's screaming is because it's biting its back. Okay, that's enough. It sounds like me trying to touch my toes every morning. All right, I'm going to let you introduce the next topic. I don't know where to go with that, guys. Maybe you got eaten by a bear. Like if you get a hold of a regular necks just comply. They just give. Can you please call your next special regular neck? I guarantee no one's going to try and accidentally take that title, dude. I remember there was a fucking guy on the site. I swear to God, he wore the same fucking jeans every day with like no underwear, right? And it had a fucking giant fucking hole right here on his thigh. So I'm fucking working in the house, and I just remember he stepped over something with his left leg, and the whole fucking hole moved, right? Just like flashed his fucking junk. I was just like, and I didn't know how to stand up to people. And plus, you know, I was the new guy on the thing, and I just was wanting to be like, buddy, how about you put on some fucking boxer or something so I don't got to look at your fucking junk. And first of all, he's walking around with like a goddamn nail gun. Not like boxers could stop that, but any extra layer of clothing that you could have. This guy's literally like his fucking shit, you know, like an owl looking out of a tree, and yet it's burned into my head. I could pick his junk out of a lineup. All those people are paying to be there. That guy is making, I want to see somebody out there scalping tickets, and he does Vegas too. He does the fucking T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. I want to see the show. Picture of him up there, his eyes open, or smiling and shit. It's crazy. It's a lot of money that guy's making. I used to say, so full of shit, he can't look at the crowd. That's why his eyes are like, are they still here? Are they still believing this shit? When you're lying. Eye contact is the toughest fucking thing ever, but whatever. He's making people feel good. He's making his fuck. He's in show business. I want to see the show, though. The few times I did movies, everybody told me you just missed it. You fucking missed it. It all ended in 05, 06, and they started getting work in like fucking 09, 2010. They were like, oh my God, they fucking pay for John Travolta's jet fuel. Becoming his own fucking, to do like one of those Hogs movies, like riding on a motorcycle. He'd be okay, you got to pay for my 747. They're like, oh, John. Goes without saying, if somebody swipes their credit card number, that's their money. So then they call you up and they just go, hey, Joe, did you buy a ham hock in fucking Vancouver at a strip club? Why? No, I didn't. I was in Burbank. Good. Good luck with that. Has anybody ever bought a ham hock in a strip club? Dude, you've given me every piece of the fucking elk, except that I've got some hammock for you. Well, you fantasize about doing to him. Oh, just running away. I don't want to hurt him. The guy's hurt by life. He's so damaged by life. I don't want to do anything to him. I just want to get the fuck away.
I always picture those people when I have a giant roll of duct tape and I just put it on there. It's like a cartoon level speed. No, it's cartoon level.
I just put it on their mouth and I go, and the last one that comes up and over their head, and then it hangs down. The whole rest of the tape is hanging down over their head awkwardly. And then I just go back to eating or whatever, and you just sit there and slowly take it off. But the only way I could get through that basketball guy is if I already told my wife that he did it, and it annoyed me. And then what I would do is I would just be egging him on, going like, so why doesn't he play him, and just keep going. But then she would start kicking me under the table because she would start laughing. Hi, everyone. I'm Ivanka Trump. She's like Tracy Lord's sister in the 80s. He's got good-looking kids. He does amazing. She's good-looking, too. She's amazing. Hey, good for him. Good for him. Good for him. And if Bill Clinton wants to vaguely look in the direction of a beautiful woman, I go to pick up my guns. I got 2 guns. I got a shotgun, too, but I broke it first day. Yeah, I thought I got the one that goes shot, 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 shot. But he sold me the one that went, hey. Oh, so I go to pick up my guns, and my arms dealer tells me, he's like, hey, man, he goes, I can't give you your guns. I said, why not? And he goes, none of your paperwork checks out. I go, what do you mean? He goes, all the bills are in your wife's name, your car's in your company's name. I can't give you your guns. I started laughing hysterically because all I thought to myself was, our system works. Like, how great is it that our system works? I looked at him laughing hysterically. I was like, dude, I feel safer knowing I can't get a gun than if you gave me 2 guns. I go, I'm so happy to know our system works. And he looks at me dead serious and he goes, oh, you're getting your fucking guns. I was like, wow, I don't feel so good about this anymore, Kevin. He's like, no, we have a workaround. This is what he did. Called my wife on the phone, said, Mom, I want you to print out a blank lease and fill it out saying you rent a room in your house to your husband. Fax it into me. I get it. I'll give him his guns. My wife was cackling on the other end of the phone. Sorry, we're at full occupancy, Kevin. She sends it in. I get my guns. I love my guns. I do love my guns. I'm the kind of idiot. Yeah, I don't know if you're like me, where you see a gun in a movie, and I call up my arms dealer immediately. I was like, yo, Matrix Agent Smith, what gun is that? He's like, Desert Eagle, 50 caliber. I go, sign me up. He's like, I can't do a 50 caliber in California. I'll get you a 40 caliber. I'll do a workaround in the office. I'll get you what you need. I'll get you what you need. He's like, you can get a long gun too. A long gun do you want? He's like, I just sold you a shotgun. And go, yeah, you sold me the circumcised one. I want the uncircumcised one where you can pull the hood back. He's like, you don't want another shotgun. You want an AR-15. I was like, whoa, slow down, brother. I go, I might not be the right guy for an AR-15. I lost my Glock for 9 days. All my wife heard was AR-15 and comes marching in the kitchen. Is that motherfucker trying to upsell you on an AR-15? I'm like, bitch, men are talking. She's like, did you tell him you took your Glock in the shower with you? I'm like, woman. I go, Kevin, I'm not going to be a part of the problem in this country. I'm going to be a part of the solution. I'm not getting another one of these killing machines and putting out another population and losing it for 9 days and some kid finding it. All I want is my Desert Eagle 50 caliber and a shotgun. My wife's next to me. She goes, that's the man I married. Kevin's on the other end of the phone. He goes, am I on speaker right now? I said, no. And he goes, all right, cool. I'll have the AR-15 waiting for you. I said, bro, I really don't want the gun. He goes, give me 10 seconds and listen to me, Burr. In the event of an apocalypse, I'm like, I'm still listening. He's like, this is the best gun to defend you and your family. I couldn't even help myself. I was like, can you give me the one with the bump stock on it? My wife heard me say that, canceled my fucking lease. Ever meet somebody and they're so boring you feel like they poisoned you? Like you're talking to them and you're like, I feel like I'm dying right now. I think you did it. This guy's name is Craig. I met him. I made sure to get it. I'm going to remember you for the rest of my life, man. I met him at the bank. Is he a bank teller? No. Is he a security guard? Nope. What's his job? I don't know. Whatever they call that guy that stands in the lobby of banks now, where like, you walk in, you're like, do you work here? He's like, I think so. But that guy, the lobby liaison, well, I saw him. We made eye contact. I don't know how you work for me. If we make eye contact during the day, not at night, but during the day, out of human decency, I acknowledge you. So that's what I did. We made eye contact, and I go, how you doing? And he went, and I was like, okay. So then I get to the second set of doors to walk in, and as I reach for that door, I hear you going to the bank. They go, is this still a bank? He goes, yeah, I'd like to. And he goes, go for it. And I was like, okay, thanks. And then I reach back, and he goes, I'm going to Virginia next week. Are you telling me that? He goes, you said, how you doing when you got here? I had to think about it. That's what I'm doing. I go, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard anybody say. And also not how that question works, but all right. And now I reach back, and he goes, yeah, my sister lives there. I'm like, how long she lived there? Now I'm roped in. He goes, 15 years. And I go, you've never been? He goes, now I'm starting to look at him like, hey, man, do you drive to work or does somebody drop you off? You know what I mean? I think you could see it in my face. Because out of nowhere, he goes, I drive. I was like, that's cool, man. It's cool. I drive too. That's crazy. I got to get in here. He goes, yeah, we're going to check out D.C. and we're going to see some monuments. I go, I would love to hear about it, but I have to make a deposit. He goes, well, I'll be here when you walk out. You know, you motherfucker, fuck that guy and fuck everybody. Like him, with the audacity to tell people how you're doing when they say, how you doing? That shit is rude and selfish. All right? I'm serious. There are two acceptable answers to how you're doing, fine and great. And if you're miserable, you say fine. But you don't burden people with your real-world problems during a courteous exchange. Yeah. You guys got the all blacks, let's be honest, that's all we see. Jason Moment in the gym, and he goes, we were just watching you last night. And I go, really? He goes, yeah, you look way different. You're a fat piece of... In the other footage, I was like, cool, man. I think we spent like 12 hours hanging out. Hi, he's the most genuine, humble, fun, warm, my best friend. I consider Jason and I to have a much more authentic and close relationship than I have with, like, Brett, one of the guys I do a podcast with. I had never performed stand-up in South America. I didn't even think it would ever be something that I would do. But I went to Buenos Aires, Argentina, had one of the best shows and also ate like a fucking king. And then we flew to Chile, had an amazing show there. I stopped in Peru, in Lima, Peru, and saw a family and then finished the leg in Mexico City, came back home, got a little bit of rest, and then had to ramp up for the 40-day European tour all the way west until we ended up in the UK. Also got to do stand-up in Madrid and Barcelona, Copenhagen, Paris, London, Birmingham, and Glasgow. Whole tour came to an end in Iceland, which was such an epic ending. It was a great way to end it all. Working with Tom is, I mean, you really can't ask for anything better. I can. I mean, fuck that. It's the greatest opportunity that I've ever gotten. He understands that, like, you know, if you treat your people properly, they're going to go above and beyond. The other thing that is a credit to him as well is that he's a very good judge of character, and he surrounds himself with great people, puts a lot of faith and trust in all of us. I think, you know, by doing so, he really creates this environment that drives us. Nobody wants to be the weak link. Being on this tour, just meeting Tom 14 years ago has changed every single part of my life for the better. To have someone like that, that's like unconditionally supportive. Best year of my life. I love you, Tom. Thank you so much. To have someone like really take a chance on you, there's really no better feeling. I don't think I could ever tour with anybody else. Hey, Tom, Mike Cronin, I opened for you like 4 times this year. Probably don't remember because you're looking at your phone most of the time, but I just want to say I'm very proud of you, and I think you are a good person. You're a good person, and please give me more money. Okay. So how is it driving for Tom? Well, I've been thinking long and hard about what I was going to say, and to be real honest with you, I can't say anything good about the man. Nice of you to talk to him for the first time, the whole tour time. Dude, don't fuck this up. I already told you about eye contact. Look down. He's just mean. He's just mean. He's a mean man. Even when he's nice, these men have places to go, people to see. Are you high again? We work 7 days a week, no time off. I haven't seen my family in 4 years, huh? He just blew his nose. Because he got to do it again. Oh, great. No, on a serious note, he's a really good guy. He's a pleasure to work for. Easy going, but he isn't funny. That's about it, Sam. During COVID, I was desperate to get to Canada, and it was for a very important reason. I needed to ski Chelsea, Canada. Shut up, Kevin. Canada had very strict rules at the time. It was almost impossible to get in. But when I looked on Instagram, I noticed that Kevin was filming a movie up in Canada, and he was going back and forth from Canada to America all the time. One day he was in America for Thanksgiving, and the next day he'd be back in Canada. And this was when there was a mandatory 2-week quarantine. That's enough. So I called Kevin and I told him, I don't know what your secret is, but I need your help getting across the border. And here's how great Kevin is. He said, no problem, Chelsea. I got you. I'll just get you a gig on my movie. I said, great. Behind the camera in front, I don't care. I'll direct it if I have to. Well, just so, he said he'd even help me fill out the paperwork. I was so excited. He said, I got you, Chelsea. I got you. I got you. And that's when I learned that if you ask Kevin for a favor, you can always count on hearing these 3 words, I got you, and then you can count on never hearing from him again. That's ridiculous. So that's the kind of man we're honoring here tonight. The kind of man who would deny a rich white lady a ski vacation during a global pandemic. On Law & Order, they tie in current events to their episodes, like they try and weave in real news stories. So a couple years ago on SVU, they did an episode that was based on stories about sex addiction, because all these celebrities were coming out as sex addicts. So in the episode, there was a scene where the other detectives are trying to teach Ice-T what sex addiction is. It takes a couple of minutes, and finally Ice-T gets it, and they cut to him in this close-up, and he goes, oh, I get it. You mean like when someone drinks too much or snorts cocaine or bets the house on the ponies? I was like, yeah, you got it, man. And I was psyched that they understood and they could go on with the investigation. But I could have watched another 4 hours of Ice-T just naming examples. It's that shot of him like where someone smokes too many cigarettes, or like when someone shops too much with credit cards, or like when someone plays too many scratchy lotteries, or like when someone eats too much chocolate cake and he would just keep talking and it would slowly fade out and say created by Dick Wolf. Thanks very much. My name's John Mulaney. You're live. He's seeing. That's what gets him off. Just buy a can of Wasp bear spray. Think about it. If Wasp or bear spray was so great, then why isn't any law enforcement agency using them? Pepper spray is your best choice. Wasp spray has a disclaimer on it that it's a crime to use it in any manner other than what it's for. This is just the kind of stuff overpaid lawyers love to argue about in court. Most of us lawyers charge by the quarter hour, but regardless what a can of pesticide claims is, the law isn't necessarily accurate. Turn the Ring camera off and take care of business. Sex offenders need to be dealt with on the spot. You could call the ambulance afterwards if you want, hold them and place them under citizen's arrest, and the police will show up. Just wear gloves and a face mask. And actually, it's not a joke. Be careful. I'm sure what he wants is contact. Maybe he just got a shake weight for Christmas. I've seen the vid. No, if it was a tiny shake weight. I'm coming late to this discussion, so maybe someone has mentioned this, but semen is considered a biohazard, and that should get someone's attention. You can jerk off all you want, just don't do it in front of women and children. If you want to do it in your house, nobody cares. Nobody wants to get arrested for that. Don't be ridiculous. Yeah, we thought it would be punk rock if we sat down. This ain't your father's late night. My email got hacked a few weeks ago, but it was kind of cool. It was the thing where they hack into your email. Has this happened? They hack in and then they send like a weird spam link to everyone in your address book. So I basically sent a spam link to everyone I know, which was kind of nice because I don't keep in touch with people. So that's my bit for the year. That is my Christmas card as far as I'm concerned. And then everyone wrote back to me to tell me I'd been hacked. So I heard from everybody. It was nice. It was like I had a baby or something. Email viruses bring people together in amazing ways. One guy I know emailed me and he said, hey, I clicked on the link you sent. I don't want to buy any herbal Viagra. But he wasn't being funny. I've known him for 17 years. He's not a funny person. He's an idiot. So what I liked about that was a few things. One, he clicked on the link. Who the hell still clicks on the link when you get the spam link? And this, by the way, this was the ugliest internet link I've ever seen in my life. It had like dollar signs and swastikas in. Looked like a virus. I don't mean an internet virus. I mean it looked like if HBV was a website written out. He got that in a blank email and he went, okay. And he clicked on it. He was intrigued. And then he is taken to a website that sells something called herbal Viagra. And his first thought is that I am now selling herbal Viagra. But do you know what kind of offended me? It was that he thought that that's how I would sell herbal Viagra. That I would be that piss poor of a salesman. That I would just put a link in a blank email with the subject line. Check this out, which I've never said before in my life. And then in the to column, I'd write everybody and I'd go, yeah, this speaks for itself. If I was going to email everyone I've ever met about a very shaky new business I was involved in, I would write a long introduction letter before I got to the link. I would be like, dear friends and family, comedy did not work out. Also, have you ever wanted to try Viagra, but you fear the side effects of the non-herbal kind? Well, me and my Cayman Island business partners have the solution for you. Just click on the swastika below, and in seconds you'll be taken to the world's ugliest website. I hope you can read pink on purple, as that is the layout we have chosen. Thank you. I didn't pause for that, but that's nice. I paused for that. That's why I paused. I turned 30 recently. I watch movies very differently because you understand, for years and years I was a child, and when I would watch an action movie, I would identify with the action hero who's trying to help people. Now when I watch an action movie, I only identify with like the side characters who are off in the corner rolling their eyes. You know, the ones that are like Spider-Man, like those types. That's how I'd feel if I heard about a Spider-Man, you know? You know who's my favorite action hero when I was a kid was Michael J. Clock says Marty McFly in Back to the Future. He was my hero. I love Marty McFly. He's great, right? I wanted to be like him in every way. I watched that movie again recently. Marty McFly is a 17-year-old high school student whose best friend is a disgraced nuclear physicist. And I shit you not, they never explained how they became friends, and we were all fine with it. We never even asked, you know, that. We were just like, who's his best friend? A disgraced nuclear physicist. Okay, yeah, proceed. Yep, no, it's good. Proceed with the movie. I know, Back to the Future is a great movie and a hit movie. It's a very weird movie. I just watched it again. It has a lot of weird things in it. 2 guys had to go in and sell that movie. 2 guys had to go into a movie studio and be like, okay, so we have an idea for the next huge family action movie. And it's about a guy named Marty, and he's a high school student, and he's very lazy. He's always sleeping late. They're like, okay. Is he cool like Ferris Bueller? No, but he has a best friend. Yeah, you know, who's a disgraced nuclear physicist. I'm sorry, I'm confused. This is another student. Oh, no. This other guy is either like 40 or 80 even. We don't know how old he's supposed to be. Anyway, so one day, the boy and the scientist, they build a time machine. Whoa, okay, I think I see where this is going now. Let me guess. They build a time machine, and they go back in time, and they stop the Kennedy assassination. Oh, no. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, we didn't even think of that. Okay, well, what do they do with the time machine? Well, now I'm embarrassed to say, all right, here goes nothing. We thought, you know, that it would be fun for people if the boy, you know, he went back in time and he tried to fuck his mom. We just thought that would be fun. And then, oh yeah, no, but don't worry. He doesn't get to fuck the mom because his family friend named Biff shows up and he tries to rape the mom, you know, in front of the son. And then the dad, he has to beat the RA rapist off of her. And we're also going to say that a white man wrote Johnny B. Good. So we're going to take that away from them. Oh, this sounds like a fantastic movie. We are definitely going to make this. Now, you say that they go to the past. Do you want to call it Back to the Past? No, Back to the Future, right? But they go to the past. Yeah. Oh, hi, my email got hacked a few weeks ago, but it was kind of cool is that it was the thing where they hack into your email. As this happened, they hack in, and then they send like a weird spam link to everyone in your address book. So I basically sent a spam link to everyone I know, which was kind of nice because I don't keep in touch with people. So that's my bit for the year. That is my Christmas card as far as I'm concerned. And then everyone wrote back to me to tell me I'd been hacked. So I heard from everybody it was nice. It was like I had a baby or something. Email viruses bring people together in amazing ways. One guy I know emailed me and he said, hey, I clicked on the link you sent. I don't want to buy any herbal Viagra. And he wasn't being funny. I've known him for 17 years. He's not a funny person. He's an idiot. So what I liked about that was a few things. One, he clicked on the link. Who the hell still clicks on the link when you get the spam link? And this, by the way, this was the ugliest internet link I've ever seen in my life. It had like dollar signs and swastikas and looked like a virus. I don't mean an internet virus. I mean, it looked like if HPV was a website written out. We got that in a blank email and he went, okay. And he clicked on it, he was intrigued. And then he is taken to a website that sells something called herbal Viagra. And his first thought is that I am now selling herbal Viagra. But do you know what kind of offended me? It was that he thought that that's how I would sell herbal Viagra, that I would be that piss poor of a salesman, that I would just put a link in a blank email with the subject line, check this out. Which I've never said before in my life. And then in the 2 column, I'd write everybody and I'd go, this speaks for itself. If I was going to email everyone I've ever met about a very shaky new business I was involved in, I would write a long, like, introduction letter before I got to the link. I would be like, dear friends and family, comedy did not work out. Also, have you ever wanted to try Viagra, but you fear the side effects of the non-herbal kind? Well, me and my Cayman Island business partners have the solution for you. Just click on the swastika below, and in seconds, you'll be taken to the world's ugliest website. I hope you can read pink on purple, as that is the layout we have chosen. Hi, that was you. Thank you. I didn't pause for that, but that's nice. I paused for that. That's why I paused. I turned 30 recently. I watch movies very differently because you understand, for years and years I was a child, and when I would watch an action movie, I would identify with the action hero who's trying to help people. Now, when I watch an action movie, I only identify with like the side characters who are off in the corner rolling their eyes, you know, the ones that are like Spider-Man, like those types. That's how I'd feel if I heard about a Spider-Man, you know. You know who's my favorite action hero when I was a kid? Was Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly in Back to the Future. He was my hero. I love Marty McFly. He's great, right? I wanted to be like him in every way. I watched that movie again recently. And so Marty McFly is a 17-year-old high school student whose best friend is a disgraced nuclear physicist. And I shit you not, they never explained how they became friends. And we were all fine with it. We never even asked. You know, we were just like, who's his best friend? A disgraced nuclear physicist. Okay, yeah, proceed. Yep. No, just good. Proceed with the movie. I know Back to the Future is a great movie and a hit movie. It's a very weird movie. I just watched it again. It has a lot of weird things in it. They're going to sell that movie. Two guys had to go into a movie studio and be like, okay, so we have an idea for the next huge family action movie. And it's about a guy named Marty, and he's a high school student, and he's very lazy. He's always sleeping late. They were like, okay. Is he cool like Ferris Bueller? No, but he has a best friend, you know, who's a disgraced nuclear physicist. I'm sorry, I'm confused. This is another student, or, oh, no. This other guy's either like 40 or 80 even. We don't know how old he's supposed to be. Anyway, so one day, the boy and the scientist, they build a time machine. Whoa, okay. Think I see where this is going now. Let me guess. They build a time machine and they go back in time and they stop the Kennedy assassination. Oh, no. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, we didn't even think of that. Okay, well, what do they do with the time machine? Well, now I'm embarrassed to say, all right, here goes nothing. We thought, you know, that it would be fun for people if the boy, you know, he went back in time and he tried to fuck his mom. We thought that would be fun, and then, oh, yeah, no, but don't worry. He doesn't get to fuck the mom because this family friend named Biff shows up and he tries to rape the mom, you know, in front of the son. And then the dad, he has to beat the rapist off of her. And we're also going to say that a white man wrote Johnny B. Good, so we're going to take that away from him. Well, this sounds like a fantastic movie. We are definitely going to make this. Now, you say that they go to the past.
You want to call it Back to the Past? No. Back to the Future. Right.
But they go to the past, yeah? Good night, Montreal. Thanks for your time, everybody. You've been wonderful. Thank you. People say, do you ever smoke marijuana? I go, I don't need another reason to be hungry. Like, you ever seen a guy hit on a woman through a group of other people? Like, not even bother walking up to her? Just like yells at her, like, hey, you with the tips? You guys move? What's up? And Greg, like that guy. My name is John Mulaney, and a few things about myself I should tell you. For years, I was a child, and during that time, I went to a school, right? But I was terrible in school. I was awful at it. My worst subject was math. And in the grade school that I went to, they did this thing one year where they divided all the kids up into two different math groups, right? Based on your abilities. And the first group that you could be in was called the Blue Angels. And it was named after the famous aviators. And the other group was called Group 2, yeah? Oh, we were a small bunch of kids in Group 2. Best part of it is, we picked the name ourselves. The teacher was like, what are we going to call you, Group 2? Then we were like, bingo. You got it right there. 4 and 5 is 12. My name is John Mulaney, and a few things about myself I should tell you. For years I was a child, and during that time I went to a school, right? But I was terrible in school. I was awful at it. My worst subject was math. And in the grade school that I went to, they did this thing one year where they divided all the kids up into two different math groups, right? Based on your abilities. And the first group that you could be in was called the Blue Angels, and it was named after the famous aviators. And the other group was called Group 2. Yeah. Oh, we were a swell bunch of kids in Group 2. Best part of it is we picked the name ourselves. The teacher was like, what are we going to call you, Group 2? Yeah, we were like, bingo. We got it right there, 4 and 5, 12. I watch so much crime stuff. But I do too many crime dramas. I love Law and Order. That is my favorite show on television. I love Law and Order, good. I love Law and Order because it's the same episode every single time. Like, it's the same thing again and again. Law and Order is to the point that, like, you see the same types of characters on every Law and Order. Some of my personal favorites. There is a guy who, while being questioned by homicide detectives, will not stop unloading crates. Doesn't matter to this guy, double rape and murder. Nah, he's got to unload that van. The detectives will show up with all these serious questions, and this guy is just like Tony Ramirez. Yeah, I remember him. He used to work here Tuesdays, right? It's like, dude, people have died. How often are you questioned by homicide detectives? I love Law and Order, and I miss Jerry Orbach more than certain dead relatives of mine. He was the best. He was the best. For those of you that don't know who that is, Jerry Orbach, he was a wonderful actor. He played Detective Lenny Briscoe on Law and Order for many, many years. He was also the dad in Dirty Dancing. He's the one that put Baby in the corner. That's right. He was a wonderful actor, but a couple years ago he died. Now you may know that or you may not know, and I am not lying to you. Montreal, I wouldn't do that. After Jerry Orbach died, this is absolutely true. He donated his eyes to the New York Eye Bank. He was an eye donor. So there's these signs all around New York that say, Jerry Orbach gave his heart and soul to the gift of acting and the gift of sight to 2 New Yorkers. 2 New Yorkers got Jerry Orbach's eyes. Sorry, like it's a transplant, not just to have. Like they got him put in 2 different New Yorkers. But that is fascinating to me because they're 2 different New Yorkers. They probably don't know each other, right? They're probably strangers. Well, that would make a great movie. That would make a great romantic comedy. Oh, I can see the preview now. They're just like, he's an average guy who only likes sports. Dude, you sold your grandmother's wedding ring. What? It was for season tickets. She's a businesswoman who only likes business. Mom, could you turn off that Bluetooth? We're at a baptism. He's March Madness. She's Merrill Lynch. Got it. But they have one thing in common.
They both have Jerry Orbach's eyeballs shoved into their face. New Line Cinema presents Love at First Sight. This summer, love is spelled with 2 eyes. And the scene.
I thought a lot about it. Thank you. And the scene where the guy and the girl finally find each other. Because the first act of the movie, they get the eye transplant. That's a given. Rest of the movie, they're walking around New York, but they keep like crisscrossing paths like in that movie Serendipity, which is not bad. So they're walking around. They're like, oh, when are they finally going to meet? And here's the scene where they meet, okay? Because if you remember in Law and Order, whenever Jerry Orbach saw a dead body, he'd make a funny little joke. He'd make a one-liner every single time. So the guy and the girl are coming down the street from opposite ends of the street, all right? There's an alley in the middle of the street, and there's a teacher lying dead in the alley. And at the same moment, they both go, school's out. And then they lock eyes, Sam. Good evening. Nice to see all of you. I hope you're having a good summer. I'm kind of excited. I'm about to turn 29 years old. I think that's very cool. I, however, don't feel that I look any older. I think I just look worse. Like when I'm walking down the street, I don't think people are like, hey, look at that, man. I think they're like, whoa, that doll child looks terrible. Get some rest, Salt Child. You can't keep burning the candle at both ends. But, you know, I was a child for years and years, and it was a lot of fun. It was very weird to be a kid because I was so young, and some things made me nervous when I was a little kid. And they don't make me nervous at all anymore. Like I always thought that quicksand was going to be a much bigger problem than it turned out to be. You watch cartoons and quicksand is like the 3rd biggest thing you have to worry about behind actual sticks of dynamite and giant anvils falling on you from the sky. I got older. Not only have I never stepped in quicksand, I've never even heard about it. No one's ever been like, hey, if you come in to visit me, take I-90, because I-95 has quicksand right now. And I hear all these stories about bullying, and I think it's terrible. The bullying that happens in school is really bad. I was bullied when I was a little kid. I was bullied when I was in school for being Asian American. The biggest problem with that is that I am not Asian American. But this is absolutely true. When I was a little kid, I looked like I might be Asian American. I have pretty thin eyes. I had very thin eyes when I was a kid, and I had straight black hair that I always wore in a bowl cut. And honestly, from the ages of 3 to 8, people thought that I might be a young Chinese person. And kids in school would bully me. They would call me a chink and a gook, which are 2 different nationalities, but that didn't seem to bother them at all. Those are really offensive words, by the way. I'm sorry to use them, but imagine how I felt, because I was getting called that, and I wasn't even one of those. My family isn't the least bit Chinese. I mean, we take our shoes off when we come inside, but that's more of a carpeting thing than anything else. Here's how bad. When I was in 7th grade, we had this music appreciation class that we never appreciated. And they took us to hear classical music once at a symphony orchestra. So we're at the symphony orchestra, and in the middle of one of these classical pieces, they banged a big gong. And every time they banged the gong, all the kids sitting in front of me would stand up, turn to me, and bow like that, which is some racist-ass bullshit, but also very well coordinated for a group of 13-year-olds. Those were some slurs. I do apologize for using those. Although you can basically say whatever you want on television. Now you can really say anything you want on TV. And if you don't believe me, you should watch a little show called Law and Special Victims Unit, because they will say the grossest, sickest shit you've ever heard in your life. No, on Special Victims Unit, they can't say the F word. They can't say the F word. But people will walk around being like, looks like the victim had anal contusions. Yo, it looks like the victim had semen and fecal matter in his ear canal. Those are 2 actual things I heard on Law and SVU at like 3 in the afternoon, both spoken by Ice-T, by the way. Ice-T is a detective with the Special Victims Unit, Mr. Cop Killer, ICE-T, that's been with the SVU about 11 years now, but he still treats every case like it's his first in terms of total confusion. Like they'll be in the middle of an investigation and Ice-T will be like, you telling me this dude gets off on little girls with pigtails? It's like, yeah, Ice, he's a pedophile. You work in the sex crimes division. You're going to have to get used to that. You know how in Law & Order they tie in current events to their episodes? Like they try and weave in real news stories. So a couple years ago on SVU where they did an episode that was based on stories about sex addiction because all these celebrities were coming out as sex addicts. So in the episode there was a scene where the other detectives are trying to teach Ice-T what sex addiction is. And it takes a cool minutes, and finally Ice-T gets it, and they cut to him in this close-up, and he goes, oh, I get it. You mean like when someone drinks too much or snorts cocaine or bets the house on the ponies? I was like, yeah, you got it, man. And I was psyched that they understood, and they could go on with the investigation. But I could have watched another 4 hours of Ice-T just naming examples. Just that shot of him like, or like when someone smokes too many cigarettes. Or like when someone shops too much with credit cards. Or like when someone plays too many scratchy lotteries. Or like when someone eats too much chocolate cake and he would just keep talking and it would slowly fade out and say, created by Dick Wolf, thanks very much. My name is John Mulaney. You're a lot of fun. So I am divorced, don't be sad. Divorce is just a legal term for no one has farted in my bed in 2 years. Why would you get a facelift? Can't you look at other facelifts and realize they haven't worked all the bugs out yet? My name is John Mulaney. And a few things about myself I should tell you. For years I was a child, and during that time I went to a school, right? But I was terrible in school. I was awful at it. My worst subject was math. And in the grade school that I went to, they did this thing one year where they divided all the kids up into 2 different math groups, right? Based on your abilities. And the first group that you could be in was called the Blue Angels. And it was named after the famous aviators. And the other group was called Group 2. Oh, we were a swell bunch of kids in Group 2. Best part of it is we picked the name ourselves. The teacher was like, what are we going to call you? Group 2? And we were like, bingo. You got it right there. 4 and 5 is 12. I watch too much crime stuff. I do too many crime dramas. I love Law & Order. That is my favorite show on television. I love Law & Order. It's good. I love Law & Order because it's the same episode every single time. Like it's the same thing again and again. Law & Order is to the point that like you see the same types of characters on every Law & Order. Some of my personal favorites. There is a guy who, while being questioned by homicide detectives, will not stop unloading crates. Doesn't matter, this guy, double rape and murder. Nah, he's got to unload that van. The detectives will show up with all these serious questions, and this guy is just like Tony Ramirez. Yeah, I remember him. He used to work here Tuesday, right? Like, dude, people have died. How often are you questioned by homicide detectives? I love Law & Order, and I miss Jerry Orbach more than certain dead relatives of mine. He was the best. He was the best. For those of you that don't know who that is, Jerry Orbach, he was a wonderful actor. He played Detective Lenny Briscoe on Law & Order for many, many years. He was also the dad in Dirty Dancing. He's the one that put Baby in the Corner. That's right. He was a wonderful actor. But a couple years ago, he died. Now, you may know that, or you may not know. And I'm not lying to you. Montreal, I wouldn't do that. After Jerry Orbach died, this is absolutely true. He donated his eyes to the New York Eye Bank. He was an eye donor. So there's these signs all around New York that say Jerry Orbach gave his heart and soul to the gift of acting and the gift of sight to 2 New Yorkers. 2 New Yorkers got Jerry Orbach's eyes, sorry. Like as a transplant, not just a half. Like they got him put in 2 different New Yorkers. Though that is fascinating because they're 2 different New Yorkers. They probably don't know each other. Right? They're probably strangers. Well, that would make a great movie. That would make a great romantic comedy. Oh, I can see the preview now. They're just like, he's an average guy who only likes sports. Says, dude, you sold your grandmother's wedding ring? What? It was for season tickets. She's a busy businesswoman who only likes business. Nyder, could you turn off that Bluetooth? We're at a baptism. He's March Madness. She's Merrill Lynch. Got it. But they have one thing in common. They both have Jerry Orbach's eyeballs shoved into their face. New Line Cinema presents Love at First Sight. This summer, love is spelled with 2 I's in the scene. I thought a lot about it. Thank you. In the scene where the guy and the girl finally find each other, because the first act of the movie, they get the eye transplant. That's a given. The rest of the movie, they're walking around New York, but they keep like crisscrossing paths, like in that movie Serendipity, which is not bad. So they're walking around, they're like, oh, when are they finally going to meet? And here's the scene where they meet, okay? Because if you remember on Law & Order, whenever Jerry Orbach saw a dead body, he'd make a funny little joke. He'd make a one-liner every single time. So the guy and the girl are coming down the street from opposite ends of the street, all right? And there's an alley in the middle of the street. And there's a teacher lying dead in the alley. And at the same moment, they both go, school's out. And then they lock eyes. Good evening, Montreal. Thank you very much. So what I'm trying to say is I lock my leftovers in the safe. So if anybody plans on robbing room 830 of the Hyatt, that's going to be a real shitty score. Clap your hands, sir. Stop being racist. Clap your hands, cheese. If you were kind enough to send me a cut of this last month, this is such a wonderful special. Oh, thank you. It is you. It is some other adult guest stars, like people like Richard Kind and Natasha and Jake Gyllenhaal. But mostly it's kids. Oh, yeah, it's me and 15 kids, ages 8 to 13. And why did you have this idea to work with children? I thought it'd be funny, and I needed something to do. And America Sawyer, who you know very well, fantastic writer, amazing comedy writer, who I worked with at Saturday Night Live lot. We always wanted to write for kids. We wanted them to add kids to the cast of SNL at one point and have like a little update that they would cut to. So they go from Seth and Amy to 2 kids, remember? And Lauren was like, we're not doing that. So we had this idea, and then I just started thinking about writing kids talking like me, and I thought, that's great. So there's some of that, and then there's big musical numbers, you know, keep people entertained. And then we also interviewed them a lot on camera, that is, the songs are fantastic, and I'm not the least bit surprised by that. But one of the parts that really resonates is the kids talk directly to camera. You hear your voice. You hear Rhys Thomas, the wonderful director, America's Voice. And a lot of what they talk about is the things they're afraid of.
Yes.
We asked them what their biggest fears were, and then were they surprised by their answers?
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, I thought, like, it's 2019. I was born in 19. So, you know, like, when I was 7, everyone was afraid of, like, tarantulas, you know. And I wonder what kids in 2019 are afraid of. And, like, you can speculate from the news and everything. A lot of kids are still afraid of tarantulas. And I don't know why. Like, they're really not a thing you come into contact with. Yeah, certainly not in New York City, I want to point out. This is everybody at the premiere. Oh, yes, which is fantastic. They all dressed up, and when I first met you, sorry, they demanded that it be black tie. We were on set one day in July, and they went, is there going to be a premiere? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, with a red carpet. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, and everyone dresses fancy. And I was like, all right, yeah, I like this, because I feel like when I first met you, you sometimes looked like a kid who was dressed up like an adult. Yes, and it's fun to see you with that. What that actually looks like, yes. This was me on an average show night, yeah. What was it like auditioning them? Oh, well, we started off like 50 or 60 kids. And we would have that, they'd come in and do a song, and sometimes a kid, you could tell, like, oh, she might be good at this type of energy. So sometimes we'd assign them a song, so this very talented young girl, Lexi, we told her to do You Are to Know by Alanis Morissette, and we told her parents, could you ever prepare You Are to Know? And she came in and she said, I have You Ought to Know to sing by Alanis Morissette, and we were like, great. And she's like, but just the appropriate parts. And I was like, what? And she's like, just the appropriate parts. And I was like, oh, yeah, you forgot. I forgot the whole point of the song. Then we talked to him like just kind of loosely interview style. I had a couple questions. And then there was one round of kids where I'd say, fill in the blank, America has a lot of blank. And so I'd say, America has a lot of, and some kids said like hamburgers. And some kids would choke and be like, and some kids would say people. Then this kid, Alex Bello, who's very talented, who's in the special, I said, America has a lot of, and he said, work to do. You've talked. I think it was your last special about how you don't want to have kids. Yeah? You have any I have a couple, yeah. Sometimes I do. Most of the time I'm happy. Sometimes I wish I talked to you. But, yeah, you two have more free time. You talk to them about it, though. I mean, they must have been curious. One time on set, we were holding for a while, and they said to me, so you don't want kids? And I said, no, I don't. And then we had a conversation about it as if they weren't kids. They were like, why not? And I was like, well, my wife and I really enjoy our time together, and I like having my free time to do stuff, and, you know, I think kids are great, but I wouldn't want anything to come between that. And they were like, that makes sense. And they were talking it out. This one girl went, you might like kids? And I was like, maybe? And she went, yeah. And then we were all doing a shot the next day, and my wife, Anna, came by set and walked in. And I went, that's my wife, everybody. And everyone went, hi, Mrs. Mulleney. And then this little girl, this not a little girl, wonderful girl, Camille. Camille turned to me and said, does your wife know you don't want kids? He was late. And we talked to him about it, and he was still late, and he was still late. And he would, even into his late 30s, would say it was the traffic, and it was that he left late, or, you know, boy, that's a tough thing to ask somebody to say. Well, that's going to be him. I was like, yeah, that's what it said to everyone. Like, listen, like, don't sugarcoat it. Like, can you imagine being at my funeral, and they just said positive things, and they weren't, like, he kind of was like a little rotten prince. Like, you thought I was mad at you when you just telling me, no, I didn't. But now I'm worried that you're going to think, no, I was thinking you were rotten. No, I was thinking you were rotten. No, I think that I was sometimes a little, I was holding in a kind of tantrum sometimes at the show. But I think we all were. It was a sleep deprivation. It's used for torture. But I think that you had an ability to smoke weeds. I didn't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I knew other people were mad at me, and that was like, you know, it was the not knowing. Yeah, which is your own. So it's a credit to your restraint, but that's, yeah, but that can be weird. Being hard to read is weird. Yeah, it can be a detriment. It can be good at business negotiations, poker, yeah. Although I don't think I would be able to hold it in poker because I don't know, what's good or bad. I would just be like Jack Queen. But yeah, no, my dad told me, so he goes, this is the best advice I'll ever give you. If you're on a business call and you don't like what the other person is saying, let's say you don't like their offer or you don't like the decision they've reached, just say nothing after they tell you, just stay silent. After a few seconds, they'll go, are you still there? And you go, uh-huh. And then it'll be silent again, and then they will start to backpedal and make concessions because people hate silence so much that they would rather give in than have discontinue. That's a very effective, yes. And when he told me that I was an adult and I thought you used that on us when we were kids, I'd call him and be like, can I see an R-rated movie? You still there? Uh-huh. So, yes. So I would like the speeches to include my faults, and I would like someone to point out that I really enjoyed life. But, like, I really liked it, and again, I'm talking in the past tense. Yeah, but I'm still here. I'm glad you're still here. Thanks, man. And no, genuinely, I'm glad you're here today. And I think the thing, if I was at your funeral, the thing I would say, yes, question. Gotcha. If you just spoke at my funeral, what would you say is the next question? Is it really? Yeah, my fancy list, yeah. And I said this to you before. You said my eulogy to me. No, it's a piece of, I always said, like, I think one of the reasons that people are so happy for your well-deserved success is one, that it's well-deserved, and two, all that time at SNL, you're such a fan of other people, you were so supportive of other people, and I think it meant a lot because everyone knew the minute they met you that you had sort of impeccable comedy taste, and I think that a kind word that you were very gracious with and very generous with, I think it meant a lot to a lot of people. Oh, myself included. I appreciate you saying that. And certainly my life has been a great deal richer since I met you. Yeah, mine too. You also recommended me to audition, which is how I got the writing job, and you wouldn't. If you didn't want me to be a writer, I wouldn't have gotten the writing job. So you really did change my life, and, well, I don't know, I heard Werner Herzog say, I don't know if people change each other's lives, but you made my life better because it was like, I liked being a comedian. It was great, but it was like picking up rocks on the ground. And then you were like, do you want to go to the moon? And it's still kind of picking up rocks, but like it's on the moon. No? That changed the direction of my life. Well, like every conversation we have, I am happy we had it. And I love it. You don't want the last question? Oh, yeah. What's the last question? You ever seen a ghost? No. Has your mom or anything? No, no one. I thought about it when you were in Cape Borges when you talked about ghosts. I don't know. I've never seen a ghost. It's been my go-to icebreaker for a while now. Yeah, normally I like that. By the way, a high school kid at a party with that outfit asks that question. That's what he thinks a girl wants to hear. Stares at her for a while. Can I help you? You ever seen a ghost? Would she go out with him? Is the question at the end of the movie? Fuck! They'd be making out just for a cutaway. That's my go-to icebreaker. If I'm at a wedding and I'm sitting next to someone I don't know, because I get put at a rando table, I will often say, have you ever seen a ghost? And people, if they have not seen a ghost, and a ghost is a dead person whose soul or spirit is now ghoulish and haunting. Ghoulish, yeah. And normally if they haven't, one of their relatives has. They're like, no, but, my best friend's house was haunted. And it's a remarkably effective, terrible icebreaker. Sometimes I use it incorrectly, like I'll be at a party. And I don't know how to act at parties, and a group of people will be talking, and I'll walk up and be like, how's everyone doing? You ever seen a ghost? And then that sounds like you are a ghost. I go, oh, you mean like you have now? Like, yeah, well, you have now. Yeah, I think that's good. It's a place to end it. Should we end it with the cast of Sneakers again? But this time we nail it. And now there's Nazis again. When I was a kid, Nazis was just an analogy you would use to decimate your child during an argument at the dinner table. There's new Nazis. I don't care for these new Nazis. And you may quote me on that. These new Nazis, oh, Jews are the worst. And Jews ruin everything. And Jews try to take over your life. It's like, you know what, motherfucker? My wife is Jewish. I know all that. How do you know all that? I'm allowed to make fun of my wife. I asked her and she said yes. I've been married for about 3.5 years now. It is going to go out on tour. Oh, thank you very much. And I love and respect my wife very much. So I said to her, hey, we've been married for 3.5 years. And she knew that. And I said, do you mind if I still make fun of you on stage? And my wife said, she goes, yeah, you can make fun of me. You can make fun of me, but just don't say that I'm a bitch and that you don't like me. I was like, whoa, the bar is so much lower than I ever imagined. That's it? Also, I wouldn't say that. What kind of show would that even be? Hello? My wife is a bitch and I don't like her. And it's like a support group for men in crisis with keynote speakers, John Voight and Alec Baldwin. Also, I would never say that, not even as a joke, that my wife is a bitch and I don't like her. That is not true. My wife is a bitch, and I like her so much. She is a dynamite 5-foot Jewish bitch, and she's the best. She and I have totally different styles. When my wife walks down the street, she does not give a shit what anyone thinks of her in any situation. She's my hero. When I walk down the street, I need everybody all day long to like me so much. It's exhausting. My wife said that walking around with me is like walking around with someone who's running for mayor of nothing. My wife and I went to Best Buy to get a TV. We didn't end up getting the TV. I was afraid that the Best Buy guy was going to be mad at me, so I bought an HDMI cable, and I go up to the register with Anna. My wife's name is Anna. She's standing next to me. I hand the guy the other. He takes it. He scans it, and he says, "Do you have a Best Buy rewards card?" And I said, "No, I wish." And then my wife said, "Jesus Christ," and fully walked away from me. Walked all the way over to the laser printers and just stood there, Blair Witch style. I'm still up at the register, and the guy goes, "Do you want a Best Buy rewards card?" And I said, "No." Even though I had just said it was my greatest wish in life, I was hoping he believed me, that it was secretly my great wish, but that I'm in an abusive marriage with little Miss Jesus Christ over here. So I can't ask for the things I want in public, but at home at night we argue about it. And I'm like, "You'll see. One day I'm going to leave you and I'm going to get that Best Buy rewards card." She's like, "Jesus Christ, you're never going to get that Best Buy rewards card." My wife is Jewish. As I said, I was raised Catholic. We have differences in our religious upbringings, and we realized this recently, not with our kids, because we don't have any kids. People always ask us, "Are you going to have kids?" And we say, "No." And then they go, "Never. You're never going to have kids." Look, I don't know. Never. 14 years ago, I smoked cocaine the night before my college graduation. Now I'm afraid to get a flu shot.